The cost for food has gone up all around the world. But one thing that I've learned from this show is that you do not need fancy, expensive ingredients to make an amazing meal. So today I spent $43 on groceries, and I have a few things from my house that I'm gonna be using, like butter, rice, flour, salt, and pepper, and 1 bag of peas. But I'm gonna be making 5 meals from 5 countries that prove once and for all that amazing flavors can be had at any budget. And along the themes of working within a budget, I would like to thank Rocket Money, the sponsor for today's episode. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that will help you cancel subscriptions, lower your bills, and manage your personal finances better. Since I started a YouTube channel, the way that I've interacted with my finances has changed a lot, even just down to buying groceries. And I'm not gonna lie, it was very overwhelming. One of the best features that Rocket Money has, in my opinion, is their subscription canceling service. They will go through all of your expenditures and find recurring charges and help you cancel them within the app itself. I think that a lot of us would be surprised by the subscriptions that we're paying for that we don't even know about. It's kind of bad. Because you're doing the cancellations within the app, you don't have to worry about customer service calls, which are kind of a nightmare. Users save up to $720 a year using the app. And total, around $500 million in subscriptions have been canceled through them, which means a lot of us are paying for things that we don't actually want. They also have a budget tracker feature, which I find really helpful and one of the reasons that I really love this finance app. If you're interested in trying out Rocket Money, go to rocketmoney.com/Beryl and you can try it out there for free. I'm also leaving the link in my description. Let's get cooking.
Hi, my name is Huda. I live in Jordan and I'm originally from Palestine. The dish I want to talk about is called Mujaddarah. It's cooked throughout Palestine and the Levant in general in different ways. But the way I do it is I cook rice with brown lentils and I top them with fried onions. I remember my mother used to make this dish when she didn't feel like cooking but wanted to put a decent meal on the table at the same time. And I remember loving this dish ever since I was a little kid.
Once again, I'm not very good at, I thought that would have fit. Better to be safe than sorry. I guess the sorry would have been it boiling over. Okay.
I like the contrast between the warm, soft, comforting flavors of the rice and lentils on one hand, and the tangy and crunchy flavors of the fried onions and the Middle Eastern yogurt or salad on the side.
This is so much food.
This dish is cheap, it's easy to make, it cooks quickly, and it's nutritious. So I advise everyone to give it a go.
The combination of lentils and rice is something that you will definitely see all around the world with different flavors, different spices. I've never had a Palestinian version. Wow. For something so simple, it just tastes so comforting, and fried onions make everything good, period. The way that I cook the rice in this dish is very different from how I typically cook rice, and I think very different from how a lot of the world expects rice to be cooked. So for this rice, we're gonna boil it and then we're gonna drain it. And before everyone's like, oh, Uncle Roger is gonna get mad, we're gonna call him in. There are a lot of ways to cook rice around the world. And one of them does involve draining it once it's cooked. So the more Eastern Asian style of cooking rice in a rice cooker, I think, is kind of the predominant way that we all see rice being cooked on the internet. But I know that in India, a lot of rice is cooked in water and then drained. And that's how we cooked this rice as well. It gives you definitely a stickier rice, but it totally works nonetheless. It's just a different method. And I think it's really cool to see different ways all of us prepare the same ingredient. As far as how much this dish cost to make, the lentils were $2.49 for the bag. I used about half the bag. And the rice I had in my house, but a bag of rice costs about $1.99 and I used a cup, so let's call it as well like half of a bag. So as far as the cost for this meal, I did some math including what I bought and what I already had. I'm not including oil, salt, and pepper. So this was $8.38 for everything, and this was definitely 4 servings of food. And you've got a whole tub of yogurt left over. It's filling, it's got a lot of protein in it, it's got carbs, like the whole thing is just delicious.
Hi Beryl, I'm Yeşer and this is Yeşer. I'm currently living in Lisbon, Portugal and originally from Turkey. Today, the dish I want to talk about is a classic Turkish dish, menemen. Unlike its name, it has nothing to do with men. Menemen is a vibrant and colorful dish. It's a simple blend of sautéed onions, peppers, and tomatoes, finished off with eggs. And naturally, it is served with bread, which is an important element of Turkish culinary culture. I like to think of menemen as a comfort food. It's smooth, easy on stomach, health-friendly, budget-friendly, and simple to make. Plus, you can enjoy it at any meal of the day. In Turkey, menemen is cooked in every home, and you can find menemen on every breakfast menu, from the smallest diners to the most luxurious places. Our breakfast culture is all about sharing.
I think it's really interesting how I've made a few dishes of eggs with vegetables, and there's this very similar vibe, like between the Chinese tomato eggs and the Jordanian omelet and now this Turkish one. Like, it's very cool to see the concept of, I guess, like an omelet extended across the world. That would be a pretty cool episode, actually. What do you think?
Menemen often shines as the rock star of the breakfast table.
I'm just gonna add a little bit of butter because it feels like it's dry, and also butter. Yum.
Food, in essence, is an experience that engages all five senses and is about connections. It can instantly transport us to different places and times. As Turkish people, we criticize our country on everything. But when it comes to food, we suddenly become very passionate. I find that food, especially menemen, brings a sense of home. Our cuisine is diverse, rich in vegan and vegetarian options, with fantastic flavor combinations, and definitely more than just a kebab.
This is difficult. You don't want to just like eat a raw piece of egg, but is this done? Yes? Yeah? There's just, it's hard, there's liquid. Okay. Calling it.
The ingredients of menemen are globally accessible, so wherever you are, you can feel at home in just 10-15 minutes of cooking. However, visiting family always means a proper Turkish breakfast. Sometimes just eating menemen with my husband on Sundays feels like a self-care session, bringing a sense of home and togetherness with my family and friends from afar. I believe cooking is like styling. It's not about the cost of the ingredients, but how you use them. Quality matters, but it doesn't have to be fancy. Even with less quality ingredients, you can still create delicious, budget-friendly meals.
Ta-da! All right, let's give her a try. Actually, there's a lot of red pepper on the top that I did for decoration, so let's go to the bottom. Honestly, that's so good. It's simple, right? Like, there's not new flavors here that I've never had before, but the crunchiness of the bell pepper and the stirred type of a scrambled egg makes the eggs really, really creamy. Having it with some bread. I just feel like no matter how you cook an egg, I like it. I've done a lot of egg episodes and I've thoroughly enjoyed all of them. I'm serious what I said earlier. I think an omelet episode like this would be very cool. Because I do think that there are different flavors, different types of vegetables that get used depending on where you are. I think one of the things that I like about this dish in particular is that it doesn't necessarily feel to me super breakfasty. It just feels like a very savory egg dish and almost kind of like an Indian egg bhurji, which is like a scramble. I'm very pro menemen. No men were harmed in the creation of it. Let's talk about how much it costs. So for the eggs, I'm just including the dozen eggs because like you can't buy just 3 eggs. The tomato, the pepper, and I did buy a bag of onions, so the cost for this is for the whole bag of onions and for the entire loaf of bread. That came out to $11.65, and then there is definitely, I think, 3 servings in here, so that's $3.88 per serving, plus you have extra eggs and bread and onions. So I think great. Good bang for your buck on this one.
Hi Beryl, I'm Lenny, I'm from Scotland and I've been living in Ireland for the past 4 years. So a macaroni pie is a hot water pastry made with lard or suet or butter, and then you make that into a little bowl and you fill it with macaroni, and then it's topped with either grated cheese or sometimes there'll be a little pastry lid and then the grated cheese on top. You want the cheese to get quite crispy on top. Scottish people love pies. They're eaten at just about any time of day. You can buy them at football matches, so you can get a pie and bovril.
This is my first time doing a hot water crust pastry, but I feel like I really think about old-timey pubs in England in like the 1500s doing these like dense pies. So I feel like this crust is really meant to just be like sturdy. And wow, it came together so easily. Done. I'm like a dough pro now. That is gonna be my downfall. I shouldn't have said that. Ay, ay, ay.
You can buy them at the pub with maybe beans or chips. You can get them in bakeries and supermarkets, in butchers, chip shops. We will put anything in a pie. We put lasagna in pies, chicken curry, and of course, macaroni.
I don't know if rolling all of this by hand is the right move. I feel like I could just press them in, but I'm gonna do the hard way because sometimes the hard way is the right way. These are probably the worst pies in London. I'm getting into the mood, Sweeney Todd. But we're gonna fill these with pasta.
My favourite way to eat a macaroni pie is on the way home from the pub. I used to live in Aberdeen in the northeast, and it doesn't get fully dark in the summer, so it goes to twilight at kind of midnight until 3 o'clock. Sometimes you're coming home from the pub and you're not sure what time of day it is, and then it'll be fully light by 4 o'clock. So, you know, if you're at a club, sometimes it's almost fully light when you're walking home. And, you know, those late night bakeries, and you just go in and you get your macaroni pie, and it's hot and it's fatty and it's just what you need.
From my mac and cheese episode, I feel like pretty confident making mac and cheese, to be honest. So for anyone who's asking how I'm feeling confident. 1 cup of milk. Great.
I'm not a fan of it, but some people would put ketchup on a macaroni pie. I now live in Ireland, and Irish people just don't do pies the same way as Scottish people. I really, really miss them.
So much cheese. Is this gonna have enough space for my pasta?
I always buy them when I go home, and, you know, I just stock up in them, chuck them in the freezer.
Who else saves jars? This is a good jar.
They're never quite the same, but I've just got to have them.
Oh God, I overstuffed it. I have such bad spatial awareness for stuff like this. This is gonna get everywhere. Beryl, how do I even? All right, I'm gonna do it not on this. This will be fine. We'll be fine. Ooh, hello.
I think that pies are popular in Scotland because they're just so easy to eat. You know, they'll just get wrapped in a paper bag, handed them, you can eat them with one hand, so you've got your other hand free for your bovril or your tea or coffee or whatever. I think you should try macaroni pie if you like pastry and if you like macaroni. How can you go wrong?
This looks so good. This is so fun. Oh my God. I hope that these are all gonna come out nicely. I also feel like that's future Beryl's problem because current Beryl is just like, I love this. These look so good, right? Like, come on.
Because Scottish people will put anything in a pie, I would encourage people to try making the hot water pastry and putting in their favourite comfort food. Bye!
Look at me with all my little pies. I'm definitely better than Mrs. Lovett at making my little hand pies, huh? This is some weird jokes. The bottom of this is not soggy at all either. So excited. Oh my God. That crust is so good. It's flaky and crunchy at the same time, and like, look at me, the girl who like could not make a dough 2 years ago to save her life. Wow, 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 this is phenomenal. The mac and cheese on this was so thick with 2 C's. There's a lot of creaminess happening in this thing. Holy. Wooden spoon is fighting for its life to like do this. These are glorious. And you could do so much with this by like adding other vegetables in them. Such a customizable medium. I love them in these little pies. I like my little hand pies. Rest, my preciouses. It just feels so cute. I also want to say that I made so many pies. Obviously, like I have my 12, my little dozen, but I also had leftover. So I have another full pie here, which this almost looks like a prop. As far as cost for this, I did have to buy pretty much everything except for flour and the Crisco that I had in my house, but you could use butter or lard, which is I think the more traditional way to do it. Everything that I bought was $9.27. I do have heavy cream left over and milk left over, and I would have pasta left over because I bought a bag of pasta, but then I found the old bag of pasta. I'm so stupid and I didn't check my pantry and I just bought these and I have some. So this was from my different pasta shapes around the world and how I eat them, so whoopsies. This is a lot. There's a lot going on here. This is great for a party. It was really fun to make. It was easy. The crust has now made me feel like a pastry queen and they're delicious. I would definitely recommend everybody try a Scottish mac and cheese hand pie because they're delightful.
Hi, my name is Rosé. I'm from Catalonia in Spain and I live in Ireland. The dish I want to talk about, I call it Pèsols Estofats in Catalan. In Spanish would be guisantes guisados, and in English is stewed peas. The main ingredients is an onion and peas, stewed all with a little bit of water, just enough to cover. Then I usually like to put red pepper as well and tomato if I have it. You can also add potatoes, carrot, garlic if you like.
Yeşer said that if I had kind of vegetables laying around the house, like a potato or a carrot, I could use it. And I have a potato from the Polish salad from the mayo episode and the carrot from the Taiwanese noodle from the mayo episode. So they're gonna go in.
I love that dish because I usually make it when I don't have anything else at home. I would always have a bag of peas in the freezer and always there is an onion somewhere.
I don't know about you all, but I love peas and I feel like there aren't enough pea dishes. I'm an adult. There aren't enough pea dishes. I can't do it. There aren't enough pea dishes out there and I want more. I want more. Pea dishes.
I also like to eat it with a fried egg with a royal yolk and a bit of bread. The traditional dish is actually called Catalan peas, so it's quite popular in Catalonia. It's basically peas, bacon and onions. So I just do the cheap version, which is avoiding the meat that's more expensive. My mom used to make it a lot and my granny used to make it too. Well, it reminds me to my country, so since I moved in Ireland, there's a few dishes actually that I make from Catalonia.
I also have this little half of a bouillon cube that's been languishing in my drawer, so we're gonna put that in. It's nice. I feel like this dish is kind of, you know, it is. Just use up what you've got left over and make something yummy out of it. 2 enthusiastic thumbs up for that idea.
I guess the price is maybe about €1 or 2. I don't think it's more expensive than that because a bag of peas would last me for many dishes. I would use a quarter of a pack of frozen peas and it will feed 2 or 4 people. So I think cheap dishes can be very tasty. Doesn't have to spend a lot of money to make a nice tasty dish. And I love peas because they're very versatile and sweet and tasty. You can put them in a lot of different dishes. I think people should try this because it's very easy to make. It's simple and it's tasty and definitely cheap. So I hope you enjoy it and you like it and bon profit.
I think that this looks so pretty and I just feel like we don't get enough pea dishes on this channel, so I'm very excited to have it. I think what's so interesting to me is all of the liquid obviously kind of evaporated out, but the starch from the potato ended up thickening the liquid in there, so it's kind of got like a little bit of a stew soup vibe. Whoa, that's delicious. That is, I feel like I don't mean to act this surprised. I just wasn't necessarily expecting this to be like as robust as it tastes. Is it the bay leaf? I always think bay leaves are kind of a bit of a scam. I'm like, is this like old dried leaf really doing anything? But there's really not much else in this. Oh, I guess a bit of that bouillon cube that I had left over. That probably is adding a lot. It's not the bay leaves. I didn't mean this to be like an anti-bay leaf channel. Cutting an egg with a spoon is like not ever the easiest thing to do. That yolk mixed with everything else gives it this like creamy texture that's kind of unexpected. This is delicious. What I love most about this is that the idea of it is a little bit of what I like to call the empty out the fridge meal. What do you have left over from previous meals the night prior? Like what's kind of getting wrinkly in the corner of your kitchen? All of that can go into one dish. I'm really pleasantly surprised. I love a good kitchen sink meal. It just like makes you feel good about not having any wasted food, and they're always really affordable. As for the price, okay, so this meal in total cost me $11. I would say that there's 2 servings of this, so that's about like $5.50 per serving, but you still have a lot of eggs and you have a whole loaf of bread because I bought that. So you have a lot of leftovers in other ways. Price point of this aside, I think this is delicious and something that I will definitely think about and incorporate more into that kind of end of the month. What's happening in my kitchen? Let's make that kitchen sink meal. I think this is a great way to do it.
Hi Beryl, hi everybody. My name is Laura. I am from Tampa, Florida, but I am originally from Bogota, Colombia. And the dish that I would like to share with everybody today is called Changua. Changua is a dish that is served typically for breakfast. It originated in Bogota, Colombia. It is a milky soup with an egg, stale bread, and cilantro or green onions. It's considered a poor man's soup or poor man's dish, so you won't typically see it served in restaurants here in the United States, but it is very common in Bogota, where I am from.
So I cut this bread last night and left it out so it would get stale. Yeah, that's a stale piece. It sent shards flying. Just gonna make this into some smaller chunks now.
It is very comforting, it's very savory. It tastes a lot like the Turkish dish that was shown on this channel I've been watching for a long time. The one with the Greek yogurt and egg. The flavor profile reminds me a lot of that.
Bread chunks. Is that a chunk? Or is that a chunk? What is the definition of a chunk? Chunk. I feel like chunk or chunk. This is like a piece and this is a chunk. I think this is definitely this is an art, not a science. All right, we're gonna do that. Okay, half, that's it. Final call, making them a little smaller.
The dish reminds me a lot of my grandmothers in Colombia, and now that they come to the US to visit, I get to have the dish a lot more often.
This is actually not my first milk soup, but the other one was sweet and it was from Albania, and this one is savory. I just like don't drink that much milk. I mean, I don't actually, no, let me rephrase that. I don't drink milk. So we'll see how this goes.
It is nice that in Changua, we do use up stale bread that would normally be thrown away in the garbage.
This is, like, milk doesn't boil as much as it just boils over. So I'm gonna call this, oh no, 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 no! Oh my God, just as I said it. Literally just said it. There is milk everywhere. Okay. Beep, cut. Oh God.
Take 2.
It's not gonna overflow. Not this time. You, me, mano y mano, leche y leche.
But in this case, inside of the soup, it is a little bit more soft once the bread absorbs all that milk. So it does change up the texture of the bread completely. And it is important to use up as much as we can to reduce the waste that we have for the earth in general.
Don't break the egg, but I feel like this is, can you come hold back this piece of bread? Like hold that so I can like get to the milk. Okay, 1 egg in. Thank you. Plop, okay. 2 eggs are in. We did it. Okay, now it cannot Like, how am I gonna know when it's cooked? Let the eggs cook for 2 to 3 minutes. This whole dish, I'm now like on edge. Okay. Okay, I'll be back.
I would encourage everybody to try this dish because it's very warm. It's a nice savory breakfast in the morning, especially on a cold morning. And it's very easy to make. It doesn't use up a lot of ingredients. And you get to use up bread that maybe you would normally put in the garbage can. When I came here, like a lot of immigrants, we lose a part of our culture, and not just that, but we also lose the opportunity to have a warm dish from our grandmothers. So now I get that back.
That was so dramatic in the kitchen. Milk is dangerous when you're boiling it. You gotta just like watch it like a hawk. And even if you do watch it, apparently it boils over. Okay. I felt like I was just so stressed out for the rest of the cooking time, but we've made it on the other side. And I don't think I've ever had an egg poached in milk before. Oh, I overcooked the yolk. Well, you know, I did not know what I was doing. That is way better than I was expecting. The cilantro and the green onion are actually giving a lot of flavor. And this might be the first time that I think that you can really taste cilantro. If you're not a cilantro person, you would do parsley. The bread is really soft. It went from being hard as a rock to now like, look at this jiggly baby. I think if I had known how to time my egg better, a runny yolk in this would have been actually really good. The milk, because there's all that water in it, doesn't really taste that milky. I think that when I saw this recipe, I thought to myself that I wasn't really going to enjoy it because I don't really enjoy the taste of milk, but I actually really like it. And if you're not scared of boiling milk, I think this is a really great dish to try. The eggs in particular are really awesome, and it was a cool way to cook them. This is why you gotta try things. Even if you don't think you're gonna like them, you should try them because you just don't know. Let's talk about how much this one cost. Okay, so for all of the ingredients, it was $10, and it's kind of hard to figure out like what the cost per serving is. There's definitely enough milk left in the pot to put some more eggs in. $3 per serving again. I thought that this episode was really fun and really inspiring. And I wanna say it was amazing how much I was able to cook with $43 spent and how much leftovers I have in my refrigerator. I'll be honest, I ate more of the Mujaddarah for dinner last night and I had some this morning and there's still more to be eaten. So thank you to everybody who submitted and shared their recipes today. Everything is going to be linked in the description with all of the recipes so that you can make them yourself at home. In the meantime, I'm sharing 2 other episodes that I think give you a lot of bang for your buck, my college meals episode and my lazy day meals episode, and I will see you all next week.